probably only happened because you didn't listen to me.
Or it happened because you made it happen.
The absolute irony. Well, that's one way to put it, I guess. You're on a path in the woods, and at the end of that path is a cabin. And in the basement of that cabin is a princess. You're here to slay her. If you don't, it will be the end of the world. I'm talking about the end of everything as we know it. No more birds, no more trees, and perhaps most problematically of all, no more people. You have to put an end to her. Don't linger on the specifics. You have a job to do here. Just get in there and do what needs to be done. We're all counting on you. Look, you're already on the path that leads to the cabin. Why would you be here if it weren't to complete a very important task? You've made it this far, you might as well reach the end of your journey. Then I guess we'll just have to see what happens. But a word of warning. If you go in prepared to hear her out, she could easily trap you in her web of lies. And the more you listen to her honeyed words, the harder it'll be to pull yourself out. Then each and every one of us is doomed. So sure, go, talk to her. See how that turns out for all of us. You make your way up the short path to the cabin. You'll find the princess within. We're not going to go through with this, right? She's a princess. We're supposed to save princesses, not slay them. Ignore him. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Okay, let's proceed to the cabin.
The interior of the cabin is almost entirely bare. The air is stale and musty, and the floor and walls are painted in a fine layer of dust. The only furniture of note is a plain wooden table. Perched on that table is a pristine blade. The blade is your implement. You'll need it if you want to do this right.
Alright, let's take the blade.
You take the blade from the table. It'd be rather difficult to slay the princess and save the world without it. The door to the basement creaks open, revealing a staircase faintly illuminated by an unseen light in the room below. This is an oppressive place. The air feels heavy and damp, a hint of rot filtering from the ancient wood. If the princess really lives here, slaying her is probably doing her a favor. Her voice carries up the stairs.
Who's there?
She sounds dangerous. It's almost as if she's the one in charge down here. Don't let it fool you. It's all part of the manipulation.
Oh, it's been so long since anyone's come down here. I was starting to think they'd forgotten about me.
You walk down the stairs and lock eyes with the princess. There's a heavy chain around her wrist, binding her to the far wall of the basement. She's so coldly beautiful. Is she really a threat to the world? Focus on the task at hand.
And there you are. Are you here to kill me or something? How about you drop the knife and the two of us just talk?
Look how reasonable she's being. We should just drop the blade and talk things out. Don't you dare. It's fine. We can decide what we want to do after we talk to her. Maybe she really is a monster, but killing someone in cold blood isn't very becoming of us.
Okay, let's drop it.
The blade tumbles out of your trembling hands and drops to the floor with an unceremonious clang.
Thank you.
Against your better judgment, you step forward to speak with the princess face to face, unarmed. We'll be fine. I don't know what you're hoping to accomplish here, but I can assure you there's no reasoning with her. Just make sure you don't forget about the blade on the floor. You're going to need it.
So here we are. What an awkward start to a relationship. I know. I just said that. Now why are you here to kill me?
Believe me.
And do you think asking me what to believe is going to suddenly make everything crystal clear? Let's not pretend that's going to happen. As far as you're concerned, and as far as they're concerned, I'm going to say whatever I have to get out of here. That's just the dynamic of our situation.
Don't just tell her that.
Is that why they threw me down here? But I don't want to hurt anyone. I like the world, I think. I don't remember much about it, to be honest. I've been down here a long time.
Just how long has she been down here?
If I'm supposed to be capable of ending the world, then how did I wind up here, chained to a wall? Have they told you why I'm allegedly so dangerous?
Sooner or later, you'll understand that I have your best interests at heart. Hopefully sooner.
How sweet. Now be a pal and help me get out of here, would you? We could figure out how to deal with them after I'm free.
You walk up to the chains binding the princess to the wall and give them a tug. They're large and heavy, far too solid for you to even imagine trying to break them apart.
I'm guessing you don't have the key.
Maybe it's somewhere upstairs. Doubtful. Whoever locked the princess away down here intended for her to never see the light of day. They wouldn't have just left the key to her chains somewhere in the cabin.
I'll be here.
You attempt to make your way out of the basement, but the door at the top of the stairs slams shut. You hear the click of a lock sliding into place. Is someone else here? You make your way back to the bottom of the stairs. This would have been so much easier if you'd simply slain her like you were supposed to. Easier for whom? Easier for everyone.
I heard the door slam. They locked you down here too, didn't they?
Yep.
The knife. Pick it up and cut me out of here.
You won't like what happens if you do that. Against your better judgment, you place the blade against the princess's arm, just above the massive, unyielding chain. You cut into her flesh. The blade is sharp, and you make quick work of it. Before long, you're able to crack through bone, and she pulls the bleeding stub of her arm through the iron gauntlet. She didn't so much as utter a sound. Free from her bindings, the princess turns to face you, her fierce gaze meeting your eye. How is she so composed after losing an arm? It's like she isn't even bothered by it.
Thank you. Now let's get out of here.
No, we won't have any of that. The stakes are too high. You can't just let her escape into the world. No, I just can't let her escape into the world. As the princess approaches the bottom stair, your body steps forward and raises the blade. Wait, this isn't fair. You can't just do that. Watch me. Stop that.
I thought this was a little too easy.
Your body lunges forward to sink the blade into her back, but the princess swiftly moves out of the way before you can connect. Stop it! Stop resisting me! I am trying to get you out of here alive. The blade. Move the blade.
You're doing your best to help me, aren't you? I can see the conflict in your eyes. I'll make this quick.
She steps forward and pries the blade from your rigid hands.
Maybe I'll see you in another life.
And then she slits your throat with an almost clinical ease. Her face remains unchanged as she watches you collapse to the ground, blood flowing from your butchered neck. This is the end, isn't it? I'm afraid it is. Everything goes dark, and you die. I hope it was worth it. You're on a path in the woods, and at the end of that path is a cabin. And in the basement of that cabin is a princess. You're here to slay her. If you don't, it will be the end of the world. My tricks? What on earth are you talking about? We've just met for the first time. Don't forget what he did to us the last time around. I wouldn't trust a word out of his mouth. There's got to be a way out of here, for us and for the princess. We just have to keep trying. I'm inclined to agree. If he doesn't remember what happened last time, maybe it's best to keep it that way. You know I can hear you two, right? It's going to be a lot harder than you think to keep secrets from me. And as far as trying to help her goes, need I remind you how catastrophically dangerous she is to the world at large? I told you about the stakes of this situation less than a minute ago. Those are two very different questions, but fine, I'll indulge you if that's what it takes to get you moving. Let's say for a moment that this really is the second time you've met me, or at least a version of me. You died last time, which probably only happened because you didn't listen to me.
Or it happened because you made it happen.
The absolute irony. Well, that's one way to put it, I guess. You really don't remember what happened last time, do you? You practically forced the princess to kill us. That doesn't sound like the sort of thing I'd do, which is honestly all the more reason for you to not buy into whatever self-delusions the three of you are crafting. But this is a thought experiment, so I suppose I'll continue to give you the benefit of the doubt. If I did practically force the princess to kill you, it was probably for a good reason. Did you try and free her? Did you say something really mean to me? Because if I really did what you said I did, you probably deserved it. I'm a professional, after all. Sure you are. Anyway, I believe your second question was, what's the point of doing anything? If you're asking that, it sounds to me like you're making the rather dangerous assumption that your actions last time around didn't have any consequences. What do you mean? Of course there weren't any consequences. You forced the princess to kill us and now everyone's right back where they started. That sounds pretty consequence-free to me. Yes, but in this purely hypothetical scenario, that begs the question of how you got back here. Did time simply rewind itself, or were you instead transported to a different world entirely? If it's the latter, what do you think happened after you died? Do you think the people there lived happily ever after? Or do you think that the princess, left unhindered, brought about the end to everyone and everything, just like I told you she would? What a conveniently ambiguous group of things for her to ruin. For all we know, the princess left the cabin and never saw another soul. Oh, how I wish that were the case, but if the princess weren't a certain, inevitable threat to the world, the four of us wouldn't be here. And yet, here we are. You're talking in circles. No, I'm talking in facts. Just be quick about it. She just can. Believe me, I wish I could tell you more, but you'll just have to trust that what I'm saying is true, and that, despite it all, you're fully up to the task that's been given to you. You haven't given us an ounce of proof. You do know that, right? What proof could you possibly ask for? Literally anything. Fine. Check your pockets. You put your hands in your pockets and pull out an envelope with the words, "The Evidence," written across the front.
Okay.
Within, you find a note in your handwriting. It reads, "The princess will end the world if you don't stop her. This is an immutable truth." That doesn't prove anything. How do we know you didn't just forge our handwriting? I wish I could tell you more, but there are some rules I have to follow for all our sakes. Please just trust that these rules are in place for a reason. I'm on your side. You mean you're on our side as long as we do what you tell us to? Exactly. Because you not doing what I tell you to do means you're putting the world at risk. I think we've got everything out of him we're gonna get. People locked her in that basement, and I told you what this place is. It's a path in the woods. Don't overcomplicate things. I've told you everything you need to know. Going into more detail would just overcomplicate an otherwise very simple situation and make your job more difficult. Not to sound like a broken record, but the less you know about her, the better things will go for all of us. I know it sounds like I'm hiding something, but you're just going to have to trust me here. Look, I'm not supposed to say this, but it's because you're special. You're the only person capable of doing this. Call it a prophecy, if that helps, but it's just the way things are. Oh, I didn't know we were special. Of course you're special. Why else would you be here? Yes, right. We're here because we're special. Look, you're annoyed that you're here. I get it. I'm also annoyed that I'm here. But we're all in this together, and we're dealing with a bit of a ticking clock right now, so please just get to the cabin. Great. Now, if you don't mind, the whole world is waiting with bated breath for you to save it from ruin. I'm not so sure running away is the best idea. We're not the only person stuck here. What about her? Seriously? You're just going to turn around and leave? Do you even know where you're going? I guess we will. Good. Going back to the cabin is the only way we can get to the bottom of things. A warning before you go any further. She will lie, she will cheat, and she will do everything in her power to stop you from slaying her. Don't believe a word she says. Yes, don't believe a word she says. Just go in, take the knife, and do what you're supposed to. Wink. Did you just say wink out loud? No, I didn't. Wink. Just ignore this clown and focus on the princess.
Okay, let's go.
The interior of the cabin is less a cozy woodland retreat and more like a dungeon. A few pathetic wisps of starlight attempt to illuminate the cold, uninviting stone walls, and thick, wrought iron bars barricade the windows, reminding anyone who enters that this is a prison. The only furniture of note is an iron table, bolted to the floor, a pristine blade perched on its edge. The blade is your implement. You'll need it if you want to do this right. Very different. Yes, but why? Did he change it? Or did it change all on its own? Maybe it's a different cabin entirely. Now isn't that a novel thought? Maybe you haven't actually been here before. I hope this means you'll finally drop your ridiculous past life nonsense. You haven't died, and you certainly haven't been killed by the princess. So focus up. Don't get distracted by minor details. He definitely did not. Does a mirror not count as furniture of note to you? Because it should. There isn't a mirror. There's a table, the blade sitting on the table, and the door to the basement. There's nothing else in here. There's definitely a mirror. There isn't. I think you know what we have to do. Exactly. Why would I lie about something so meaningless? What good would a mirror even do? Let you waste time preening yourself instead of doing what needs to be done. You walk up to the wall next to the basement door. It's a wall. There isn't much to see here. This really isn't funny. You reach forward and rub your hand against the cabin wall. I hope you know how ridiculous you look right now. But it was there a second ago, and now it's gone. If he doesn't want us to know about it, it must be important. We should keep our eyes peeled. Maybe it'll be back. The door to the basement creaks open, revealing an old stone staircase. A few sputtering torches attempt to vaguely illuminate your path, dancing across glimmering patches of slimy moss on the stone steps. If the princess lives here, slaying her would probably be doing her a favor. Her voice, harsh but controlled, carries up the stairs.
Is that a visitor I hear? Please, come downstairs. It's been a while since I've had company.
You shouldn't have come down here unarmed. Does she remember us? You walk down the stairs and lock eyes with the princess. She looks up at you, the heavy collar around her neck clanking loudly as she moves. The chains binding both her wrists to the far wall, joining the metallic chorus as she adjusts her hands in her lap. So much for cutting her out of here. Do you hear yourself right now? Cutting her out of here never should have been on the table. Have you noticed the empty chain on the wall? Odd that in a place where everything seems to serve a distinct purpose, there would be something so obviously useless. That was there last time too, wasn't it? It was.
What an interesting development. Why don't you have a seat? I'm sure the two of us have quite a bit to talk about.
Dumb things on street. So many dumb things.